RNIB, Opening Up Creative Culture, Revealing the Story, Doreen Gibbons. Doreen's comments intercut with shots of a painting called The Raft of the Medusa by Géricault, a romantic scene of shipwrecked sailors adrift on a turbulent sea.
Audio description is taking somebody on a journey into their imagination, and I break it down into a couple of parts, really. You're actually describing the physical layout of what you can see, and then the second bit is doing the historical value of the painting. So you're talking about the background, you're talking about the artists, their inspirations behind it, and the concept behind it, because visual art, a lot of the time, it's about concepts. So you've got all these different ideas and different reactions and opinions coming out, and that makes a great conversation.
Louise Fryer.
So when any of us goes to a gallery or a museum, what we want to be able to do is talk about that experience with our friends. And as a describer, you want to be able to give blind or partially sighted people the opportunity to do the same thing. And I think one of the problems is that often, if you're thinking about a blind or partially sighted person, you think, well, they can't see, or they can't necessarily see very well, but what they can do is touch and they can hear. So let me think about the things that we have in our gallery that are already easily accessible. And that's fine, except the danger is you end up only describing things that are tactile because they're tactile, not because they're necessarily the most brilliant examples of whatever your gallery happens to be exhibiting. So by the time everyone's been round the museum or gallery and they all get together at the end and they're chatting about their most exciting experience, your blind visitor is going to be talking about the rather boring and yet tactile exhibit that they were allowed to engage with, rather than whatever your gallery is designed to show. So once you've decided what you're going to describe, the main question is how you describe it. It takes a lot of time to speak. Speech is a linear form, whereas vision, you can instantly observe what's in a gallery space and you can be drawn by sight to go and look at the thing that seems to be the most interesting. For a blind or partially sighted audience, one of the jobs of the audio describer is to do that for them. So a quick overview of what's available, a reason behind why you've selected a particular object, and then using words as succinctly as you possibly can and yet vividly in order to convey the information about that object. So what you're looking for is maybe some kind of narrative thread. Why is this object chosen? Why does it relate to the object next to it? What's the story of the exhibition, as well as what's the story of the individual exhibit within that exhibition? And the audio describer isn't the only person to have thought about that. The curator will have already decided which objects to put on display, how they're mounted, how they're staged, how they come in sequence. So you're trying to usually work with the curator to give as good a version of that exhibition for someone who can't see and can't select for themselves as you possibly can. And so you're working together to reveal the story of the gallery.
It's almost like when you're reading a book, you've got to set the scene, because that's what it's all about.
RNIB, Supporting Blind and Partially Sighted People. Logos for Arts Council England, Punch Records, Imagineer Productions and Ironbridge Gorge Museum Trust.